Hi, my name is Renee Pullen, and I'm the Forensic Nurse Coordinator at Augusta Health. I may have met some of you a while ago because I've come to a meeting before, and I'd like to share with you what your donation did. Before, you may remember me telling you that our forensic exam room was in a small room, and it had an office on one side with a desk, and the other side was the exam table, and then behind a curtain we had a bedside chair, and that's what our private bath was, because after we start an exam a patient can't leave. But this is what we have now. Follow me. Look at this room. It is so big and spacious. We're so excited about it. It has so much room. We have counter space over here. We have an exam table here. The old exam table was just replaced by a grant from the foundation. And when we have this new one, it has rails. We didn't have rails before, so our pediatric patients, we were always worried about them going up, because when we do an exam, we have to go really high up here. So a pediatric patient is high. And also if we had an elderly patient, so we didn't have any rails. So the new bed has rails, and we can bring it down this way, but we also can control it with our foot right here. So if we're doing an exam and we need the patient to move to a better position, we can do it ourselves, or we can let them move it. So it goes all the way down to the bottom. We have a supply cart in here that's locked. We have two big lights and an exam light, so we have a lot of light in the room. We also have a tiny little light here in case we need it. As you can see around the room, there are toys and books, and everything is up for grab for a child who, we always say everything's looking for a home. So some people pick something. Over here is our camera case and our camera. So the SDFI telemedicine system is what the foundation provided for us. It's not just a camera. It starts with a camera, and then I'll share. The camera takes pictures of the patient, and it's colposcopic quality, so we don't have to then stop the camera and then get the colposcope, which is what we used to have to do. We can use this camera. Also, it came with an alternative light source, and so we can turn the lights off, and we've got some goggles that we put on. We put the goggles on, and the patient wears goggles. And then if we see anything that fluoresces, body fluids often fluoresce, we can take the card out of this camera and put it in the contrast camera. And then this camera has special settings, and we can take pictures of what we see fluoresce. Before, we could only describe it, and of course we would swab that area. But now we can take a picture of the area that we see fluoresce. It's not, as I said, it's not just the camera. After we take our cards, and it's one card per patient, so there's multiple cards in here in case we have two patients in one day, which occasionally happens. We have software that's loaded on the Augusta Health IT system, and that software allows us to store our photos password protected. We are the only ones that know the password to that. And there's a portal up in the cloud somewhere, a special portal that after we do our reports and after we do our photos, we upload it into the portal, and it's encrypted and with a passphrase, and we call the law enforcement or whatever agency, and they have 5 days to download that or it disappears. And so we're able to transfer. Before, we had to put things on a disk, and some computers don't even have disks anymore, and so people didn't know how. They would have to go to maybe to another office, and so we were just worried about the security and the privacy of our pictures. So this has changed all that for us. We don't have to mail reports. We can just send them to people electronically through the cloud. We also have the software came with a filter. So when we take a picture, sometimes we get a patient who's early, maybe a strangulation just happened, and bruises haven't come up. It takes sometimes 24 to 48 hours for bruises to come up. And if we take these pictures early, but the bruising is already happening under the skin, there's already changes in the tissue underneath, with that filter, it changes the way the light, it just helps you see better. So we can put the filter on there and show the pictures side by side, and you can see the bruises underneath the skin. The same thing for a patient who it maybe happened 5 or 6 days ago, and they said, oh, it was really bad before. We can do the filter, and we're able to see that area still under the skin. It's healed on the top, but it hasn't healed underneath, so they can still see that contrast. We always show those two pictures side by side. We have a storage for all of our clothing for patients and supplies. We have a little candy box because no matter what, chocolate often makes anybody feel better. We try to have a little touch of hominess so it doesn't feel too sterile in here. We have pillowcases and some flannel sheets. And so this is the most wonderful thing we have to offer, a private bath. Before I mentioned we had the curtain and the bedside chair and people had to change clothes and have privacy there. Now we have this bathroom. It sounds like an echo chamber in here, but it has a shower and we provide toiletries and a towel. Big towels, not little bitty white hospital towels where you have to use 5 or 6 of them. We've got a big towel, their private bath. A patient can undress in here. We can, if they have an advocate with them, we can do some more intimate looks at their back before they come back in. And it's just a blessing to have this big bathroom. And a patient never has to go down the hall or walk in a gown or anything like that. Everything happens right here. Our program has been very blessed to have the Women's Giving Group support us for many years now. Not only the money when we were building the new room, but also for the camera system. Also, one time we had a short-term need for clothing, and I called, and some ladies went shopping for us, and we got coats and jackets and pants. And so we're so thankful for the support that we have.